Fruit flies and humans have a lot in common. In fact, about 77% of known human disease genes have a recognizable match in the genetic code of fruit flies, and 50% of fly protein sequences have mammalian analogs. But you may be thinking, what relevance is fruit flies to space? Well, fruit flies are actually considered to be the first animals in space. In 1947, fruit flies were sent to space aboard a US-launched V-2 rocket in order to explore the effects of radiation exposure at high altitudes. The flies reached an altitude of 68 miles, or 108 kilometers, in 3 minutes and 10 seconds and were recovered alive by parachute. Felicette was the first and currently only cat to have ever been sent to space. The black and white female cat was a stray cat that was found on the streets of Paris, and in 1963, the cat was blasted off in a special capsule on top of a French Veronique AG-1 rocket. Felicette had electrodes implanted into her brain, and the recorded neural impulses were transmitted back to Earth. Fortunately, I know, a bad pun, the cat was safely recovered alive after a 15-minute flight and descended to Earth by parachute. I bet the cat was feline pawsome after that. Really hysterical, I know. On the 31st of January 1961, Ham the chimpanzee became the first chimp in space. He was launched in a Mercury capsule aboard a Redstone rocket. He was taught how to complete simple timed tasks such as pushing a lever within 5 seconds. Failure to do so would result in a mild electric shock on the soles of his feet, and success in this task would reward him with a banana pellet. Once Ham was launched into space, he had his vital signs and task monitored using computers on Earth. His flight lasted for 16 minutes and 39 seconds before he was rescued from the Atlantic Ocean by ship after his capsule splashed down in the ocean. Although Ham's capsule suffered a partial loss of pressure during the flight, his spacesuit prevented him from suffering any major harm. Ham walked away from the trip to space only suffering a bruised nose. Albert II was the successor to Albert, who died of suffocation during his flight to space. So for that reason, Albert II is considered to be the first ever monkey in space, as his flight reached 134 kilometers, which is past the Kármán line of 100 kilometers, taking to designate the beginning of space. This took place in 1949, and the monkey was implanted with sensors to measure vital signs. Although Albert II survived his flight, he was unfortunately killed upon impact due to a parachute failure. Probably the most famous animal to be launched into space was Laika the dog. What was notable about Laika's trip to space was the fact that she was the first living being to orbit the Earth on Sputnik 2 in 1957. However, Laika's survival was not expected, as there was little known information about the impact of spaceflight on living creatures at the time, and the technology to deorbit had not yet been developed. Unfortunately, this was the case as Laika did not survive, as she died several hours into the flight from stress and heat. Despite surviving for just a few hours, Laika's place in history is assured, and the information she provided proved that a living organism could tolerate a long time in weightlessness and pave the way for humans in space.
तो एक बार सब्सक्राइब ने लाइक से बोला कि लाइक से प्यार मत करो, सब्सक्राइब से प्यार करो। तभी शेयर ने बोला कि मुझे भी तो शेयर कर लो। तभी इन तीनों को लगा कि तीनों चीज एक साथ कर लोगे तो बेसिकली सबका दिमाग खराब है। मेरा भी थोड़ा सा खराब है। सब्सक्राइब, लाइक एंड शेयर।